Developmental psychologists have done extensive research on the effects of a student's approach on his or her ability to learn and ultimately master material. Dr. Carol Dweck, a leading researcher in the field of developmental psychology, makes a distinction between a growth and a fixed mindset. Children who have a fixed mindset, that is, kids who have been influenced by their parents and teachers to think, I am smart, tend to attribute their success or failure to an ingrained and unalterable level of ability. They see their overall intelligence or skill at a certain discipline to be fixed, a thing that cannot evolve. On the other hand, children who have been influenced by their parents and teachers to think with a growth mindset are more prone to describe their results with sentences like, I got it because I worked very hard at it, or I should have tried harder. A child with a growth mindset tends to sense that with hard work, difficult material can be grasped. Step by step, incrementally, the novice can become the master. Dweck's research has shown that when challenged by difficult material, people with a growth or learning mindset are far more likely to rise to the level of the game, while those with fixed mindsets are more brittle and prone to quit. Children who associate success with hard work tend to have a mastery-oriented response to challenging situations, while children who see themselves as just plain smart or dumb, good or bad at something, have a learned helplessness orientation. In one wonderfully revealing study, a group of young children was interviewed, and then each child was noted as having either a growth or a fixed mindset. All the children were then given a series of easy math problems, which they solved correctly. Then all the children were given some very hard problems to solve, problems that were too difficult for them. It was clear that the children with growth mindsets were excited by the challenge, while the children with fixed mindsets were dismayed. Comments would range from, oh boy, now I'm really going to have to try hard, to, I'm not smart enough for this. Everyone got these problems wrong, but evidently the experience of being challenged had very different effects. What is most interesting is the third stage of the experiment. All the children were once again given easy problems to solve. Nearly all of the growth mindset individuals breezed right through the easy material, but the fixed mindset individuals had been so dispirited by the inability to solve the hard problems that many of them foundered through the easy stuff. Their self-confidence had been destroyed. What is compelling about this is that the results have nothing to do with intelligence level. Very smart kids with a fixed mindset tend to be far more brittle when challenged than kids with growth mindsets who would be considered not quite as sharp. In fact, some of the brightest kids prove to be the most vulnerable to becoming helpless because they feel the need to live up to and maintain a perfectionist image that is easily and inevitably shattered. How are these two mindsets programmed into our minds? Often subtle differences in parental or instructional style can make a huge difference. Children with fixed mindsets tend to have been told that they did well when they have succeeded and that they weren't any good at something when they have failed. So a kid aces a math test, comes home and hears, wow, that's my boy, as smart as they come. The next week, Johnny fails an English test and hears, what's wrong with you? Can't you read? Or, your mom never liked English either. Obviously, it's not your thing. So the boy figures he's good at math and bad at English, and what's more, he links success and failure to ingrained ability. Children with growth mindsets, on the other hand, are given feedback that is more process-oriented. After doing well on an English essay, a little girl might be congratulated by her teacher with, wow, great job, Julie. You're really becoming a wonderful writer. Keep up the good work. And if she does badly on a math test, her teacher might write, study a little harder for the next one and you'll do great. And feel free to ask me any questions after class. That's what I'm here for. So Julie learns to associate effort with success and feels that she can become good at anything with some hard work. She also feels as though she is on a journey of learning and her teacher is a friendly assistant to her growth. Johnny thinks he's good at math and bad at English, and he focuses on quick results as opposed to long-term process. But what happens when he does badly on a hard math test down the line? Will he be prepared to learn the right lessons from life's inevitable challenges? Unfortunately, he may not. It is clear that parents and teachers have an enormous responsibility in forming the mindsets of their students and children, and it is never too late. It is critical to realize that we can always evolve in our approaches to learning. Studies have shown that in just minutes, kids can be conditioned into having a healthy learning theory for a given situation. In one study, children were given different instructions about what the aim of their task was. Some kids were told that solving certain problems would help them with their schoolwork in the future, and other kids were told that they would be judged based on the results. In other words, half of the kids were given mastery-oriented instructions, and half of the kids received helplessness-producing instructions. Needless to say, the kids who were temporarily mastery-oriented did much better on the test. So how does this affect us in our day-to-day lives? Fundamentally, the key to pursuing excellence is to embrace an organic, long-term learning process and not to live in a shell of static, safe mediocrity. Usually, growth comes at the expense of previous comfort or safety. The hermit crab is a colorful example of a creature that lives by this aspect of the growth process. As the crab gets bigger, it needs to find a more spacious shell. So the lumbering, slow creature goes on a quest for a new home. If an appropriate new shell is not found quickly, a terribly delicate moment of truth arises. A soft creature that is used to the protection of built-in armor must now go out into the world exposed to predators in all its mushy vulnerability. That learning phase in between shells is where our growth can spring from. Someone stuck with a fixed mindset is like an anorexic hermit crab, starving itself so it doesn't grow to have to find a new shell. In my experience, successful people shoot for the stars, put their hearts on the line in every battle, and ultimately discover that the lessons learned from the pursuit of excellence mean much more than the immediate trophies and glory. In the long run, painful losses may prove much more valuable than wins. Those who are armed with a healthy attitude and are able to draw wisdom from every experience, good or bad, are the ones who make it down the road. They are also the ones who are happier along the way. Of course, the real challenge is to stay in range of this long-term perspective when you are under fire and hurting in the middle of the war. This, maybe our biggest hurdle, is at the core of the art of learning.